This is what nobody tells you about being successful. In the last 12 months, I've built my dream life by building my $50 million business, creating my dream body, and marrying my dream wife. And I did it with these 9 habits, mindset shifts, and high leverage strategies I'm going to show you in this video. So if you want to outperform 90% of the people in life and business, here's the blueprint. First, you need to understand that success isn't about doing more. It's just about removing what's actually in your way. The first thing to do is apply the theory of constraints. Now, the theory of constraints came from the book called Goal. And this is actually one of 3 books that Jeff Bezos makes his management team read. That's how important it is. And essentially, the story is about a guy who took over his parents' manufacturing business. And he understood that there's always a bottleneck in his production line that was minimizing his production capacity. And his job was to understand where that bottleneck was and solve that problem and apply all his resources to that one problem. And we have to do the same thing inside of our business and our lives. So when Cure at one stage was plateauing in terms of its growth, I had to pinpoint where the constraint was in the business, and that was in our customer acquisition costs. So then I applied all the resources in the company to try and solve this one problem. And once we did, our profits doubled in about 6 months. So the way you get to actually finding out where your constraint is in the business is by asking yourself a series of simple questions. Like, why can't you 10x the business tomorrow? What has to be true if you can 10x the business tomorrow? And normally there's only one key constraint at your business at any current time that's stopping you from that 10x growth. And once you find that constraint, you need to then be disciplined enough to apply your resources, which are limited, to that one outcome of fixing that one constraint. And once you fix that one constraint, then you can move on to the next. This is the way Elon Musk does it, and other 9 and 10-figure entrepreneurs. They simplify their business by focusing on the constraints that they need to solve in order to get that high exponential growth. So instead of hustling harder, just focus on where you're placing your attention, because a lot of people mistake movement for progress. But if you move in the wrong direction, it can be counterintuitive. Most people don't know it, but if they aren't doing this, then they're losing a ton of money and time. Now, what doesn't get measured doesn't get improved. It's as simple as that. And no matter how many business owners I actually coach today, I don't see a custom dashboard. I don't see them tracking their numbers on a daily cadence in order to make informed decisions. And this goes to all other areas of your lives. If you're going to lose weight, you need to weigh yourself every single morning. Ideally, your body fat percentage and your weight, to understand where you are so you can make informed decisions. And the same is with your business. If you don't have a set of key metrics you track every single day, how do you expect to improve them? So my task to you is to pick out the 5 most important metrics in your business and track them every single day. And once you start tracking them every single day, then you can start making informed decisions as to where you put your time, energy, and attention to improve your business. You probably don't realize it, but working 4 hours a day will actually get you ahead of 90% of other people that are actually working harder than you. Now, I built my 8-figure business by only doing 3 to 4 hours of deep work a day. No meetings, no Slack, no distractions, doing deep work for the first 4 hours of the day. The future is reserved for those people that can focus the most, especially in this current era where everyone is so distracted. If you have the ability to increase your focus by like 2x, you'll be able to do double the amount of work in the shorter amount of time compared to everyone else. And that is your competitive advantage today. It's how focused you can be. So I recommend scheduling 90-minute deep work sessions and start working your way up. Start with 90 minutes a day for the first week. Then the next week go to 120 minutes. Then the next week go to 180 minutes until you can maximize your output in terms of actual focused work. And that means switching everything off. In the morning, there's no notifications, there's no messaging checking, there's no email checking, there's no even music. Nothing from the outside world should distract you in the first 4 hours of the day. This is how you can get hyper-focused and you can actually tackle the hard work, because you're also at the same time not spiking your dopamine levels with artificial sources, and you're allowing the natural sources of the work to keep you going. You need to systematize if you want to beat 90% of people. Now, with the right systems, you can win, even if you're having an off day or maybe you're not even working. So the point is to create systems and processes where the machine starts building the business, and then it doesn't matter what mood you're in. And you do that by creating an input-output equation. You work out what are the inputs that would make it unreasonable that I do every single day, that would make it unreasonable that I wouldn't achieve my outcome. Once again, I'll bring it back to fitness to make it easy. If you want to lose 10 kilos and you want to lose it in 6 months, the inputs every day might be training once a day, 45 minutes. It might be eating 2,000 calories a day, eating whole foods. And then you say to yourself, if I did those 3 inputs every single day for the next 6 months, would it be unreasonable that I lost 10 kilos? It would. So the idea is to create your input-output equation for your business, and then that is your system. That is your standard. And every single day you adhere to that system, because you can only rely on your systems, right? And then those systems will actually achieve your goals. And once you do this, then your outcome will be inevitable. And also, the system will build momentum automatically. And when motivation fades and those days you don't feel like doing it, you can always rely on a system more than you can your motivation. So the key is to ask yourself, what are the inputs every single day that'll make it unreasonable for you not to succeed? Then map it out and then put it in your calendar and just adhere to it. It's as simple as that. The top 1% of people make every decision based off this one thing. They do it based on the vision of their future. And every time I'm working with my coaching clients, I start with the vision, because the vision is going to create a filter for all your decisions downstream. If you don't have a vision, how can you make a decision today? Because you don't have a North Star to where to go to. And this is why it's important to craft your vision from the start. What type of life do you want to live? I want you to put it in 4 buckets. I want to talk about the relationships you want to have. I want to talk about the lifestyle you want to live. I want to talk about the team that you need to have. And then the 4th one, the reason, the meaning, and the purpose, which is the most important. That's going to drive your psychological fuel. Then once you have this vision in those 4 defined areas, you can put it into 1 sentence. And then you can actually check that sentence as a little reference point every time a major decision comes up. And you can ask yourself, is this decision taking me close to my vision or further away from it? And that's how you can make more correlated decisions towards creating and architecting the life that you desire. You need to be uncomfortable every day to get into the top 1%. So the truth is, in life, it's more about being and becoming, not acquiring, possessing things. And this, the top of one mountain is always the bottom of the next. The journey is where we derive all the value from. We're just human beings that love growth and progress. So the point of the matter is that you need to create certain goals that are slightly challenging and outside of your comfort zone. That's the only way that you can actually grow. The top 1% do this all the time. Design challenges where stretch their limitations, stretches their skill points, stretches them to the extremities, because that's where they know they get the most growth and they'll get the most fulfillment from. If something to you is currently just mundane and it's not challenging you, it means that you've maxed out and you need to set a new bar, a new standard for yourself. If you don't do this, you'll find yourself with this self-destructive pattern start occurring because you'll be just bored. You won't get the reward that you were getting before when you had that progress. So make sure you're looking at your goals and looking at your levels of uncomfortability towards those goals. If they are comfortable and you think you can easily manage them, then they're probably not the right goals for you. They should scare you. That's how you know you're on the right track. Chances are your brain is fried. You need to fix it to become successful. I gave up coffee, nicotine, social media, all that stuff in the hope to rewire my brain for long-term success. And at first it sucked, but then I could actually focus again. Because as we discussed earlier, focus is the most important skill set you can learn if you want to 10x your growth. And the truth is, most people just live in dopamine debt. And you need to re-engineer your reward systems to actually push you towards meaningful work. Because at the moment, they're probably hijacked by all these artificial dopamine sources. And then real progress to you just feels dull and boring and just so fucking hard to do. And you just give up way too early. So what I suggest is to rewire your brain for success and rewire your brain to do the hard things that you actually enjoy doing by removing all the artificial dopamine spikes in your day as much as possible. Now, the key is not to do it all at once. Do it in stages. First of all, let's just start with the first 3-4 hours a day. Remove all social media. Remove all text messages. Remove any high carb meals. Remove any maybe music that you might listen to. Anything where you feel like you need to get you going in the morning and you're receiving like a dopamine from an artificial source that's easy to attain, you need to remove. Then what I want you to do is just track your focus every single day in a journal, your mood, your energy, how it shifts. And once you see they have more energy, more focus, more motivation, it'll be easier to keep that momentum going and ditch the rest. Most people ignore this trap when they're trying to become successful. Like at 29, I had all these external wins, the lifestyle, the revenue, the influence, but internally I was just like numb. I realized that I was chasing someone else's dream, so I had to redesign my whole life from scratch, my own values, freedom, family, contribution, evolution. And that's why I think a lot of people fail. They don't put enough effort because they're climbing the wrong mountain, one that's not designed for them. And what the elite do, as I've been working with a lot of 9-figure entrepreneurs, is they define their own game by their own rules. They do things the way they want to do them, which allows them to push through those tough times because they've set up the game for them to win. So I'll challenge you to do 2 things. Write out your anti-vision. If I keep living like this, here's what my life look like in 2-3 years time. Number 2, ask yourself, if no one else could see what I built, what would I still actually do? And this is the key, because now you start rewiring your game the way you want it. And I think a lot of the time we start up businesses and we look through people that are successful, then we design a business in a way that we don't like running it. And that causes us to self-sabotage because we don't want the business to keep growing because we don't like running the business we've built. That's why it's important to build the business in a way that suits you, your personality, your style, so you can keep building it consistently for a long-term period. That's when true success will come in, and that's when you get those exponential gains. So if you like this video, watch how I reset my brain to make $50 million in just 3 years.